Where performance matters, you'll find Total Quartz.
Pole for the first race here in Argentina for the local hero, Jose Maria Lopez, the man who's led the 2014 FIA World Touring Car Championship since the very first qualifying session back in Marrakesh in March. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Termas de Rio Hondo, where Citroën have dominated qualifying. Lopez, the fastest man in practice, putting it on pole comfortably ahead of teammate Ivan Muller and Sebastian Loeb, with the Hondas looking more competitive behind him and the Chevrolets and Ladas also making their presence felt in the second period of qualifying. Rob Huff, 10th yesterday, will start race 2 on pole position in his Lada. And that may be the first time that Lada has started a World Touring Car race from pole. Teammates James Thompson, Mikhail Kozlowski among those who had problems in qualifying. Gianni Morbidelli had a turbo problem and a couple of other issues. And the new boy at the back of the field in his Engstler BMW. So everybody in position, ready for the formation lap as we get ready to go racing here in Argentina.
Where performance matters, you'll find Total Quartz.
Welcome, WTC fans here in Argentina at a very technical circuit. We're now heating up the tires, as you see. We don't need it a lot because at the moment it's 40 degrees, the asphalt outside. Uphill corner, prepare for the high-speed left-hander, which is very important. I've chosen for a little bit more rear wing, and that's because I focused on the end of the race for the strength, because I think the tires will have a hard time. As you see, everybody preparing. I think Pejito Lopez is it, one of the experts, because there are different lines also in this hairpin, which is nearly the last corner. You can go on the inside, you go in the middle, you can go completely on the outside for the exit. So there are different lines for everybody. I think Pejito is here one of the most clever guys, but I have to prepare for the start. Have a good show. I will do my best to get some points.
Tom Coronel in the car, alongside me in the booth, Harry Volkart, as we get ready for the start of the first race here. And interesting that Tom Coronel is looking at high tyre degradation and a bit more wing, sacrificing top-end speed to try and have some grip left at the end of the race. Cars on the grid at Termas de Rio Hondo in Argentina. The first of our 2 races here, rounds 15 and 16 of the FIA World Touring Car Championship. Pejito Lopez on pole position on the right of your screen. Ivan Muller, his teammate, on the outside of the front row of the grid. And the Argentine driver dominating in pole, half a second quicker. Can he translate that into a good start? The Citroëns have not got away well all year, and look at Norbert Michelisz. Harry, he's already got by Muller, and that's very bad news for the man who's second in the championship, because Montero goes inside him. They squeeze 3 wide. That's not great for Muller or for Loeb.
Muller had an absolutely shocking start there. It looked like he's maybe spun the wheels or maybe bogged down a little bit. He just didn't get away from the line.
So Honda's second and third. Muller trying to go the long way around the outside of Montero. That's not going to work. And Loeb in 5th position. as Jose Maria Lopez leads the field away. Rob Huff just in front of Tom Coronel, so Huff's has made a good start, but the Citroens have struggled all year to get off the line. Once they get going though, you already see that Muller is just breezed by Thiago Monteiro, and Sebastian Loeb doing the same.
That straight line difference is massive there. They basically just left him standing still.
Tom up the inside, it was. I'm sorry, I was just looking back at Tom Chilton, but in fact Thiago Monteiro has just fought back inside Sebastian Loeb, and Loeb has still not completed that move. He got by him on the straight, Harry, for fourth, but he hasn't completed it, and Monteiro is still there on the inside as they get down to the final couple of corners. Dives inside Loeb. Can he hold the line? This is pick a line, any line, this last little sequence, isn't it? And Sebastian Loeb nudges him out of the way.
Yeah, that was a bit aggressive. Not 100% necessary either, I don't think, but there you go.
Taking to touring car racing as to the man aboard, and Gabriele Tarquini nudging his way by Mehdi Benani a little further back in their Hondas. Again, that was all arms and elbows, and that's a change for 7th place. And out there on the grass, Hugo Vallant. He'll come back in just in front of Mikhail Kozlowski and behind James Thompson.
Vallant's going to have to look after his car because obviously he's starting on the front row of the next race, so he has to be mindful as to what he's doing there.
Lopez leads, Mikulic still second, Muller and Loeb closing the gap, Monteiro, then Chilton and Red car of Huff in his Lada up to 7th place. And again, Rob Huff starting race 2 from pole as Kozlowski gets nudged out the way by Gianni Morbidelli.
That looks like something's
still
broken.
Got a massive tank slapper going, yes.
Something's broken on the back end of that, I think.
Looks
Maybe
like
a tail link or something.
Definitely looks like it. So Lopez pulling away, but look at the speed that Mikulic has got. By now, Muller, you would have expected to have gone straight by him in a straight line, but I think Mikulic has got the wings wound right off for maximum speed down this straight, whereas Coronel, who we're looking at here, we heard, got a bit of extra rear wing, gives away speed on the straight, and that's why Dusan Borkovic, the other blue and white Chevy, red, white and blue Chevy, is trying to get by him, but he wants the grip later on in the race.
Yeah, that was very clear. You could see Borkovic, he was really like dragging up to him there. He had a clear straight line speed advantage, so yeah, perhaps that's that wing that Tom was talking about on his sighting lap at the start of the race.
Yeah. It's out of corner 3 and 4, it's quite a long back straight, and then they come sweep through here, turn 7 and 8, a little bit like a small version of Fuji this lap. Tom Coronel with Dusan Borkovic, 2 Chevy Cruises. Coronel's run by Roal Motorsport and Campos Racing running the car for Serbia's Dusan Borkovic. They battle over 10th place. Meanwhile, Lopez still leads from Mikulic. Jose Maria Lopez, fastest man on track last time out, and again Kozlowski out there on the dust, but
Muller's on a charge now, doing the fastest first sector. He was faster than Mikulic on that previous lap, but only slightly. But I think we're going to see a big push here, and I'm sure it won't be too long before he's all over Mikulic.
In fact, the lap they've just completed, Norby was faster than Ivan, a 1:46.89 to the 1:46.97 of Ivan. Now, it's not a lot, but it's enough.
Yeah.
If Ivan's not closing the gap, he's not closing the gap, and you're right, you know, fastest first sector, fastest race lap from Sebastian Loeb, so he is coming up behind Muller, and of course Loeb's got nothing to lose. He's not going to have his teammate off, but he is going to make life difficult for Muller if he can.
The way that Muller and Loeb drove past Monteiro, I wonder whether we'll see here, but it looked like there's a bit of contact at the start with Monteiro. I wonder if that might have bent the steering arm or something, because it looked too easy.
Great start from Mikulic in the black car. Monteiro also gets by Muller and Loeb, and the Citroens have struggled off the line all season long. If there is a weakness in their armoury, and there is, it's the start. And again, Muller has to ease Loeb off. Now, watch what happens to Sebastian Loeb and Ivan Muller here. They just basically go nowhere compared to Lopez.
Yeah, well, Lopez's start still wasn't great compared to the Hondas. I mean, it was better than his two teammates, but it still wasn't fantastic.
Well, bear in mind that Tarquini wasn't anywhere near the front end of the grid in his Honda, and he is the electrifying starter. He's still only in 8th place behind Rob Huff. This is from Tom Chilton's view.
Yeah, watch that Honda go. Mikulic came off the line there, and Monteiro like a scalded cat in there off a tin roof.
And Chilton looking up the inside. There was the contact with Monteiro. It looked like his rear to Ivan Muller's front. And Rob Huff in front of us. He'd already had in front of him, Bernard had already had a biff with Tarquini. And this camera will be Tarquini's. So he tries to tuck in behind Chilton. Jose Maria Lopez leading by 1.6 seconds. And Norbert Mikulits making second his own. Muller and Loeb, their challenge has faded. They cannot catch him. There is Mikhail Kozlovsky, the Lada driver in 16th place. Behind him, Franz Engstler leads the TC2 category, the older style 1.6 turbo cars from John Philippi and Camilo Echevarra, the young Argentine, just 23 years old, who is in the second Engstler Liqui Moly BMW. Battle shaping up as Tom Chilton toes up behind Thiago Monteiro. This is for 5th place.
Mikulits was 0.6 of a second faster than Muller over that previous lap, and Loeb was actually a 10th faster than Muller as well. So I wonder if Muller's maybe, we saw and we heard him complaining a little bit in the press conference that he had a bit too much oversteer, so maybe they've wound a bit of that off and perhaps he's gone too far the other way.
Well, that's entirely possible, and maybe he's just worked on 2 or 3 different things. And of course, with no morning warm-up after qualifying anymore, you go to the grid with an unknown car. If you make changes, Harry, as you well know as a driver, make one, try it out and see if it works. You know, they may have thrown the baby out with the bathwater a little bit.
Could well be, and we obviously heard Coronel there as well saying about how the asphalt being over 40 degrees, which is very, very high, and you know, it's so easy to misguide yourself and mislead yourself with a setup change, which you carry in from qualifying, because the car will be totally different setup, different cambers, casters, and you know, there's a lot different tyre pressures and everything. So yeah, it is a bit of a gamble going into the race with one slight change, which could make a big difference.
It's definitely a little bit more overcast yesterday during qualifying, a little bit more jacket weather, so it's clearer, it's less muggy, and the track surface is hotter, and all of that makes a difference. And still Muller is nowhere near catching Mikulits. He's not making any inroads. In fact, frankly, Muller and Loeb have been caught by Thiago Monteiro, and I probably oughtn't to mention it where we've still got 6 races to go, but Monteiro, or 8 races to go, Monteiro having his, I think, his best season in World Touring Cars. Okay, he hasn't won a race and he may not, but he's the best non-Citroën driver in the points, and all of the bad luck things that would traditionally have happened to Thiago have not happened to him this year, and that's so good for your confidence.
And traditionally, Gabrielli's always been slightly outperformed Monteiro, but this season it seems like you say, the boot's on the other foot. Perhaps the added aero effect is a bit more, you know, plays into the hands of Monteiro a little bit. I mean, obviously both guys have come from Formula 1, but more latterly, obviously Monteiro, which is probably more ground effect dependent than when Tarquini's era.
Dusan Borkovic had a long run down the outside of Tom Coronel and ran out too wide. Rob Huff now trying to get back up the inside of the Lada driver. Now after this, if Huffy sits to the outside, we've got the right-hander, and through he goes. In fact, it's not Huffy, it's Thompson. So that's Jimmy Thompson up into 11th place. That's one of the problems when you're in a queue of cars like this, that if you attack and get it wrong, then suddenly the guy behind gets a chance to shoot up your inside, Harry.
Yeah, that's it. It's like chess. It's a constant game of chess. You're trying to work on the guy in front while not leaving too much of a gap for the guy behind.
Oh, Morbidelli, look at that! Throws it up the inside. Borkovic concentrating on Thompson's back bumper. Didn't see Morbidelli coming up like a scalded cat. And in fact, behind Morbidelli, René Munich showing every sign of trying to follow him through the gaps he's opening up as well.
It looked like something went wrong with Borkovic there, because he dropped a long way off the back of Thompson, and he was actually touching Thompson on the corner before. So I don't know whether it's not very easy to miss a gear in these things because they're sequential, but it certainly looked like something went wrong.
He had a bit of a bobble over the crest. Maybe you just had to get out of the throttle a fraction, and that's all it needs when you're so close in terms of performance. One little flinch on the throttle, or one fraction of braking too early, and suddenly everybody goes by you. Thompson and Morbidelli both picked up a place. Borkovic lost 2 there, and Hugo Vallant, well, this is only sensible if he's got a problem with the car from going off or before going off that led to him going off early on lap 1, then he's got to get it fixed, because as you say, he starts second on the race 2 grid.
Yeah, he ran really wide there, so maybe it's maybe he's getting overheating problems, or something's got on the radiator or damage.
They're obviously looking at that cooling grille, so he must be getting warnings under or on the dash that all is not well under the bonnet, and you don't need it overheating. Contact with Kozlovsky.
Right rear.
Yeah, but why are they looking at the air vents then?
Yeah.
They are definitely worried about temperature, aren't they? There's nothing else down there that you'd be worried about unless the splitter was coming loose, in which case they'd be unbolting it.
Yeah, true.
Jose Maria Lopez, our race leader. He won race 2 here last year in his first ever World Touring Car encounter. That was as a guest. He comes back as the championship leader past the midway stage. He has never been headed in the championship this year. He was on pole for race 1 in Marrakesh. He scored more points than anyone else and has not been behind in the standings ever since. Nobel Mikulits in second, 2.5 behind, but 2 seconds clear of Ivan Muller, who sets his own personal best, but that's only 7/100ths of a second quicker than Norby, so he's not catching. Loeb is dropping back to Montero and Chilton. Do you know what? I think Tom Coronel might be right about tyre wear. We heard him talking after Spa that he was hoping the Citroën tyre wear issue would crop up. It didn't. Maybe the temperatures here are high enough that it is.
There's a lot of long radius corners here, and we saw this last year as well, which is partly why, you know, not taking anything away from Lopez's win last year, because it, you know, he did it on merit, but he did have a reverse grid pull. But the BMW was not that like a great car last year. It wasn't the best platform on the grid, and we saw the front wheel drive cars all starting to go away quite early on in the race. So perhaps maybe the Citroën is suffering a little bit of tyre wear.
Well, here is Rob Huff, 7th place in the Lada. This is now going to send me scrambling to see what the best Lada result of the season is. Maybe we'll do that a little bit later. 8th place in Slovakia for Rob Huff is the best Lada result of the season, I believe. And at the moment, he is in front of Gabriele Tarquini. The Honda driver, of course, didn't make it into Q2, did he? So he struggled in qualifying.
Yeah, he was complaining.
He was 7th. He didn't make it into Q3, yes.
Yeah, but he was complaining of a few issues throughout the whole qualifying period, wasn't he? He said that there was a few errors on the car, a few things which weren't quite the same as they had been in free practice. So, you know, maybe he's carrying an issue as well. We just heard there through our years there that Hugh Leblanc is suffering with overheating problems. Yeah. So could be a result of that early off that he had.
Well, of course, you know, when you bounce across the grass, the first thing that happens is you act as a lawnmower and you fill up the airbox at the front like a grass box. So you've got to extract all of that. But with the underbonnet temperatures, these turbocharged engines, 1600 degrees of high spinning metal, you can't have any heating failures or you really pay for it. Well, this is one of the widest tracks on the circuit. Rob Huff keeping his Lada nice and wide ahead of Gabriele Tarquini, and that's good practice for race 2 because he'll have Bernani and Tarquini on the row 2 of the grid behind him when he starts on pole later on this afternoon. And James Thompson, Tom Coronel might want to be backing that wing off for race 2. I think we're already on lap 8 of 13. Nobody's showing any signs of tyre wear, and he's basically towing around a parachute hanging about out at the back of his Chevrolet because he's carrying so much wing.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's improving on their laps anymore, so tyre wear is becoming as you'd expect on lap 8, but it doesn't look like they've hit a wall or anything. They're not collapsing over a cliff or anything here. So yeah, perhaps maybe he's gone too far with that wing, but it doesn't look like it's too aggressive. You know, visually you can sometimes see when they're actually looking at the back of Thompson's car, his is clearly a lot less rake than Coronel's, but it's not as extreme as we've seen them before.
Tomo likes to have no wing if humanly possible. He'll go for lift. In fact, he may actually have gone for lift. I mean, the Lada is a narrow body with big fat wheel arches. Left rear puncture for Dusan Borkovic. So he'll be heading into the pit lane. That's why he's plunged out of the back of that group. He was chasing Coronel earlier, of course. And there is your race leader. Yeah, Tomo wants to get rid of as much drag as he can. Now Huffy the same with the Ladas, because it is a narrow car. Those huge, enormous wheel arches can't be aerodynamically fared in the same way that the Citroëns or the Hondas are a little bit better because the car's a bit wider. You're just presenting this huge, wide sheet of bodywork to the air, and it's a lot of drag.
Yeah, the Lada is probably the most aerodynamically efficient car on the grid here, and as you say, man, it's a narrow shell, so they have to have these big bad boy wheel arches which look like they've come out of Halfords or something, but it's the only way they can get the track width which is involved in what they need to.
Jose Maria Lopez leads here with 2/3 of the race done in Argentina, and the focus now is on the battle for 7th place. Rob Huff ahead of Gabriele Tarquini. Of course, if Tarquini has a last lap lunge, Huffy, like a bullfighter, is just going to have to step aside and let him go. The one thing he cannot have is any damage on that Lada at the end of the race, because there's no time to fix it then before he's supposed to be on pole for race 2. 15 minutes isn't going to fix much.
No, you're right, and it'd be great to see Rob start from pole, because we've seen him drive with really wide elbows in the past, and I think if you know, it'll be a great thing to watch these Lada, to see how much pace they actually do have, because they've certainly found some over the summer break.
Yeah, well, the two cars that are behind him now, Tarquini and Bernani, will be third and fourth behind him when he starts first. Camilo Echevarria coming into the pit lane, so I'm quite sure what's up with his BMW. And Tarquini showing no signs at all here of being able to get by Rob Huff. Lada seems to be using its tyres well. Huffy's got grip, he can still turn in nicely. It's not two-tail happy, so he seems to have a nice balance with it. What's his best lap so far in the Lada? He's jumped up 147.5, and the best for Tarquini, 147.3. So Tarquini nominally with a quicker car, but Harry, having it and being able to use it are different things.
That's it, and as we've seen with these new platforms, it's difficult to get too close to them, because they are relying on a lot of aero compared to a normal touring car, and what we've seen in the past. So you do get that slipstream effect, but as a negative in long radius corners, which we've got a lot of here.
Ooh, Huffy went very wide, fringing the grass there. Let's hope he's not running out of tyre a couple of laps from the end. This is lap 10 of 13.
Montero just had a bit of a moment in the middle of that previous corner as well. I wonder if this is the turning point for the tyres, where they're just starting to give up and make the cars get a little bit wayward.
Is this where Coronel comes from 10th to victory in 3 laps because he's suddenly got the tyre? He needs about another 3 on top of that. 16 laps might have been working in his favour. I think everybody else is going to hang on. Haven't been many World Touring Car races where we've seen everybody running out of tyre and somebody coming through with the genius setup, no matter how much front-wheel drive, and particularly the Seat diesel drivers, would whine on about how quickly the tyres are going to give up. Amazing, when you're in the race and you're leading, you seem to be able to hang on.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of that's all the politics of motorsport, which we enjoy so much, but yeah, it does seem to be the case, and they'll know roughly where their tyres are going to wear from what state they're in after a lap, so you really need some kind of freak conditions, I think, for an anomaly like that to happen.
The other thing, of course, is to try and force a mistake when the driver is running out of grip and you can't use all the tyre. You've got to try and save yourself. If you make a mistake, then it becomes more evident. Muller pulling away from Lopez in third. Not much closer to Norbert Mikulits in second, though. Not Lopez in third, Loeb in third. Thiago Montero, Tom Chilton can't close on Sebastian Loeb. And nobody at the moment can close on Jose Maria Lopez. He has got speed, he's got great racecraft, he's disarmingly friendly and honest with everybody, and he's got a really silky smooth touch, and a very experienced top-flight single-seater racer in Europe before he came over to win multiple touring car championships back home in Argentina.
Looking at Rob Huff's lap times here, he's pretty much lapping consistently with what his best lap was, so that shows us that the tyres are standing up really well on his car. But you look at Muller as well. Muller's the only other car which is within a tenth or so of their ultimate lap time. Everyone else is about 4 to 5 tenths of a second away from what they've been doing. Some guys are almost a full second away, so tyre wear is definitely coming in here, but maybe that's why we saw Muller struggling at the start. Maybe he just had too much oversteer and just didn't quite have the grip from the tyre in the early part of the race.
Maybe so. Maybe he just didn't keep them warm enough on the formation lap. Lopez and Muller, the only men last lap in the 1:46.9s, 1:46.9 for each of them, and Rob Huff 1:47.5, 0.6 seconds away in race pace from the Citroen. I tell you what, you'll take that as a Lada driver every day of the week at the moment.
Yeah, definitely.
2.5 we were looking at earlier in the season.
Yeah, they were miles off to start with, and they've been improving the car steadily, and they've got another upgrade package coming for the next round as well, so I wouldn't be too surprised to see these things going up the field.
Well, Tomo stuck behind Tom Coronel, and again stuck behind a well-driven Chevy and trying to get by. Again, that's something that's a little unfamiliar for the Lada drivers this year. I mean, since Marrakesh, when they really showed some speed because of the narrow widths of the circuit and the low relative speed, you know, they have sort of struggled.
Yeah, Coronel would be looking in his mirror, scratching his head, wondering if he's got a problem or something. Why can't I shake this pesky little Lada off?
13 laps on the radio to the pits going, sorry boys, we went the wrong way on the wing. Sorry boys, we went the wrong way. Sorry boys. Look at that, you can't, I mean, there's no wing on Thompson's car. You can see the front element of it totally and none of the back. And yet Tom has got a lot more rear wing. You can see it's angled into the air a lot more. And through the corners, great. That helps a little with rear grip, does nothing for the front. but on the straight, on this long straight here, that's just making him slow in a straight line, and you've got to think that maybe Thompson fancies a chance of having a go by.
Muller's just done his personal best on that last lap, the 12th lap of 13, so to me that says he's got the car set up a little bit too, perhaps too leery at the start of the race to make the tyres last. Maybe he's been concerned more than he needed to be about tyre wear.
Yeah, maybe he's being conservative and trying to, when he realised he'd got dropped by Mikulic at the start, thinking, right, I'm going to have to get him at the end of the race. Also, fastest first sectors on that on this current lap for Rob Huff and Gabriele Tarquini. So they are still producing speed on the penultimate lap of the race as well.
Yeah, look how much Muller's caught Mikulic in the last couple of laps.
But again, you know, having the speed, he's not getting by unless Norby makes a big fundamental error. Then if Arne's not going to get by, he's just not close enough. This is lap 12 of 13. He's got 1 lap to go, another 4 kilometres after this. I'm not sure that Norby wants to give away second place. This will be his best result of the season.
It's good to see the other cars, sorry man, it's good to see the other cars taking the fight to the Citroens now, and the Honda has made a big improvement as well, and it's the first time we've really seen the Hondas taking them on, on like-for-like pace. And
it's the first time since the beginning of the year, Harry, isn't it, that the other teams other than Citroen have actually had some testing with the cars. I mean, some teams didn't even have 6 hours of testing with their car, never mind 6 days or 6 months like Citroen had before they came into the championship. So they've been playing a massive catch-up game from a standing start, and Citroen have had a year to prepare. No wonder they were well prepared when they came in, but you're right. The fact that we've got a Honda in second place, and if Lopez's start had been as bad as Muller and Loeb, they'd be following Mikulic probably still. Yeah,
and we've seen Mikulic drive with, the widest of elbows. He can defend as well as anybody, so the difficult bit now, though, there's only 1 lap, so I don't think it's going to happen, but I think for race 2, Muller's going to have to look at his setup and come back a little bit, so his ultimate performance is coming in around lap 8, which is where it seems to be the optimum, where we've seen Lopez and Mikulic, that's where their peak times were.
Unfortunately, Muller has squandered his front row start. Now he's going to start 9th on the grid. Now he's got to really do something to make that thing cut through the field like a knife through butter, because he's going to have in front of him, well, Norby for a start, Montero and Tarquini, and that's long before he even gets to Huff and whatever. So he's got, 4 of the quick-driven Hondas in front of him on the grid. And Chevys, and then he's got to get a decent start as well. And Lopez on the last lap, just making this all look very easy indeed as he takes the checkered flag victory in Argentina. He started 3 races here. He's now won 2 of them. Can't argue with that.
Pretty good effort.
Norbert Mikulic in second, Ivar Muller in third. Disastrous start for Ivar Muller, not even remotely in with a chance of threatening Lopez, who extends his championship advantage. And look at Zoltan Zengo. How happy is he with that? And Tomo got by Coronel at the line.
Yeah, on the last lap.
Need to see a replay of that. Wow, how much will he have liked that, and how much will Tom still be going, sorry boys. Here we go, Coronel smoking it into the last pick a line, any line hairpin, and just drifts out onto the grey. And look at the grip that Thompson had in the Lada, turned in on the inside.
Well, Huff's final lap was his fastest of the entire race, so it shows that the drop-off in these Ladas just isn't happening where it is in the Chevy.
Well, they've been saying all year, haven't they? Our qualifying pace is our race pace. What we have is what we have. It doesn't seem to get any different. Jose Maria Lopez was punching the air with delight there. He wins race 1 in Argentina. Well, for him, no dramas. Once he'd managed to get into the first corner in front of the fast-starting Norbert Mikulic, he was able to build a gap and control the race.
Yokohama, where performance matters, you'll find Total Quartz.
A jubilant race 1 winner here in Argentina. Jose Maria Lopez, Pechito to his friends and his family. And the championship leader continues to rack up the points. That is win number 6 of the season for Jose Maria Lopez. Fantastic job from pole position to dominate the race, and Harry Volkart, he never really looked like anybody was going to get close to him.
No, he didn't. He did the perfect job, didn't he? Just got his head down at the start, put a blinding first lap in, and you know, he could control it from there. He didn't have to stress himself too much, and that's an easy position to be in to control the race. You know, you can, if you see people catching in, you know, you need to press on a bit, and you know, you can judge it from there. You're not having to scrap, and you're not having to defend too hard.
Crowd surfing around Parc Fermé. What's he been sent back into the car for?
Steering wheel, I think.
Yeah, put the wheel back on. Oh, he's gone into the boot for something. I don't know what's going on with that. It's like in NASCAR when you're watching the live feed where they wait in the car until the network comes back and then they get out and have the celebration. It's like, oh, you're doing it all again. Okay, waiting for ESPN España to come with us, or Latin America or whatever. ESPN Plus, Fox Plus, and everybody else who's watching live across Latin America. But no question he's milking this. Down there somewhere will be Alex Le Gui. You can see the FIA press delegate Fabio Ravioli trying to encourage him to get a bit less of the Valentino Rossi's and a little bit more of the post-race interviews. But frankly, since we're not in that much of a rush to get the second race underway, let's let him enjoy his time.
I think the Argentinians deserve it as well after the World Cup. They deserve a bit of a celebration.
Yeah, that was a bit of a crusher, wasn't it? So, a very happy man. Well, we've met his mum and his dad, his friends, his brother, his girlfriend, and so on at various different races, but this is the big one for him, the home race. You know, hundreds of fans and loads of local media. Alex is down there with him, so we'll try and get a word in a moment. Beforehand, I think we're going to see a quick resume of the results. Now, let's hear from our winner.
Pechito Lopez wins here in Argentina, World Touring Car Championship. Hooray!
Oh my God, this is incredible. Thank you very much everyone who's here. My team, my mechanics. This car that has been amazing. I'm really happy. I was so nervous, but everything was perfect until now. So.
What was the pressure like out there?
A lot, especially in the start. But then when I saw I did a good start, everything changed. The car was good, so I was able to push and keep my gap. So.
Michelitz had a really good start, didn't he? And just no chance of catching up with you.
Yeah, he nearly passed me. So yeah, it was very important.
Well, Harry, he did. Norby Michelitz got right up the inside of Pechito, and like we said a moment or two ago, if Lopez's start had been as bad as Muller and Loeb's, then they would all have been following that black and red Honda. So it could have been a very different outcome. But it's that thing, isn't it? He's sitting on the grid. He knows the pressure. He really desperately wants it. It's the fear of the unknown. Like he said, once he got into the lead, then, okay, everything's perfect.
That's it, yeah. And we know that the Citroen's got the pace, so he just had to get into that first corner first. And